When you play a tennis match, you are bound to make mistakes. This is true even at the highest level of the game. So you're not going to be able to completely avoid making mistakes, but what you can do is try to understand what causes these mistakes and then try to minimize them as much as possible. There are four main causes of errors, and one of them is improper technique, and it can range anywhere from the wrong grip, the wrong take back, the wrong contact point, or even a wrong finish. And this can be a confusing subject because there's many different opinions on what the right technique is. What I recommend to my students is to simply go by whether a new technique that they're adapting is working or not. You should see an immediate improvement in your control if you're picking a technique that is correct. I'm not of the belief that a technique takes a while to settle in. In other words, you learn something new and then you continue spraying the ball and making a lot of mistakes. That is probably not going to change. You're going to continue making these mistakes, and the technique that you're adapting is probably not the correct one. So simply go by feel. If you pick something that makes sense to you and it's working immediately, you see an immediate improvement in your control and then a gradual improvement in power, that is probably the right technique for you and you should stick with it. Another cause of mistakes is improper footwork, and this is a big problem at the recreational level. So even if you have perfect technique but suffer with bad footwork, you will make a lot of mistakes because you will be not positioned correctly and you'll be forced to improvise. And it's these improvisations in technique that are causing you to miss, whether you're too far away from the ball this way, this is a cause of footwork, or it can be in a lateral way, both ways, or it can even be you letting the ball get behind you and you're improvising your technique and therefore making a lot of mistakes. And the way you fix your footwork so that you don't have to improvise anymore is to, number one, have a lot of intensity with your footwork. I see a lot of recreational players, they're kind of flat-footed as they're waiting for the next shot, and you see high-level players, they're on their toes, they're bouncing around, they have an intensity in their feet that's constant no matter what situation they're in a rally. And more importantly, what a lot of recreational players suffer with is actually ball recognition, and this is correlated with footwork. So in other words, let's say I'm at the baseline and I'm expecting a deep ball, and now a short ball comes instead. Recreational players do not recognize the ball being short, and therefore they don't move fast enough towards that ball. See, high-level players do not have problems with that. They recognize the ball really well and are able to make adjustments with the feet accordingly. And the way you're going to fix your ball recognition is simply by playing more and seeing more balls coming at you. It's kind of like driving. Imagine yourself being a novice driver and you're pulling out of an intersection and there's a car coming at you and you don't really judge the speed of the incoming car correctly and you pull out anyway and almost cause a crash. Experienced drivers, however, they can judge the speed of the incoming car quite well, and they know when to pull out and when to not. And we can apply this analogy to tennis. Experienced tennis players are quite good at judging the incoming ball. They have seen many balls coming their way and therefore can easily pick up whether the ball is going to be high or low, whether it's going to be short or deep, whether it has spin or underspin, and most importantly, they can easily pick up how fast the incoming ball is. And recreational players will often misjudge the ball and therefore be out of place, and this is why this is a footwork problem that's connected to your ball recognition. As you recognize the ball better, you will be able to adjust your feet and be at the right place at the right time. Another cause of errors is shot selection, and this is a problem from the recreational level all the way to the elite level. So a lot of players will go for the wrong shot at the wrong time. And one example is going for winners from defensive position. If you do that, if you're trying to hit a winner on the run when you're out of position, or if you try to hit a winner when the ball gets behind you, you are going to make a mistake for sure. Another example of the wrong shot selection is going for small targets. If you go down the line too much, you will make more mistakes, but it's probably wise to direct the majority of your ground strokes cross court because you got a bigger court to play into. See, the problem with hitting down the line is if you are aiming down the line and you hit the ball a little bit late, it's going to go out. If you select to go cross court and you hit the ball late, yes, you will not get your desired target, but at least the ball is not going to go out, it's going to go towards the middle of the court. Another example of the wrong shot selection is trying to finish the point off too quickly. Whether you are coming to the net too much or you're going for winners too much, you have to remember to be patient and to go for a winner when the chance presents itself. Another example of poor shot selection is playing too cautiously, in other words, pushing or steering the ball, or playing too far behind the baseline, and maybe moonballing. dribbling. And believe it or not, the intention that you have by pushing the ball is to get the ball into the court really badly. But what happens in reality, as you're steering the ball, you're making just as many mistakes as if you're going for the shot. And one tip that I can give you when it comes to shot selection is to play high percentage tennis. Basically, playing the majority of your balls cross court, staying away from going down the line too much, not playing overly aggressive, but also not playing overly defensive. Make sure that you hit your balls at 75% pace, and then when you get an opportunity to be more aggressive, you can go full blast. And if you follow those rules, you will improve your shot selection and therefore will minimize your mistakes. And finally, another cause for errors in tennis is your mental game. And I'm going to give you some examples, and this applies to the recreational level all the way to the professional level. So imagine yourself being down 30-40, it's 4-5, set point for the other person, you have to come up with a second serve, and you double fault. Now this error was simply caused by your tension. Or another example of your mind affecting your mistakes is if you don't try hard enough. So imagine you're playing a match and you really don't feel like playing on that particular day. You feel kind of lazy out there. We've all felt like that. So when we feel like that mentally, we are not going to be able to play our best, and we're going to make a lot more mistakes therefore. So what can you do to not be so anxious the next time you play, and also how can you guarantee that you're trying your hardest? Well, first I want you to understand why you're anxious to begin with. So we as humans are animals after all, and animals have it programmed in their genes to be very still and quiet when a predator is lurking around. And this is why you see a deer, for example, when it sees a car, it identifies it as a predator, and then instead of running away, it stands still. And you as a tennis player identify the person on the other side as a predator, and therefore still, just like the deer is when it's stuck in the headlights. And what you have to do is what all professional players do, and you have to move. Just think of Sharapova before she does every service action, she's bouncing around. Now she's not doing this to get in shape, or she's not doing it for fun, she's doing it to loosen up, to fight her anxiety. So the number one thing that you can do to fight your anxiety is to move around all the time. And when it comes to trying your best every time you step on a court, we can all take a lesson from Rafa Nadal, because he's incredible. He tries so hard every time he steps on a court. Now this is easier said than done, of course, and you don't have to be perfect. There are going to be matches where you're not feeling your best, but let's all try to take a lesson from the great Rafa Nadal and try our best every time we step on the court.